Welcome back to another episode of the Humble Hustle Podcast. We're your hosts, Nick Jones and Kayla Ebner.
Hello, hello.
So today we have a really exciting episode because we're talking some controversial stuff, and I love to stir the pot.
We've got hot takes. We've been talking about doing this for such a long time, and I feel like never made the effort to like actually get some hot takes. But once we finally did, a lot of people were submitting their hot takes. We've got some really good ones in here, so I'm excited to kind of talk about them.
Do you want to just start it off? Should we just flow into it? Or
Yeah, why not?
do you want to read the first one?
I'll read the first one. Okay. First one, ChatGPT generated posts don't make you sound wise or help increase engagement. They make you sound like you're using ChatGPT, LOL.
That's so true.
It's very true.
So true.
It is so true.
Like every time someone posts something or like writes something using ChatGPT, you can tell.
Yes.
Like pretty instantly.
I agree. I think as an avid ChatGPT user, I oftentimes use it for like helping me generate ideas, or like just when I'm in like that creative rut of I don't really know exactly how to say this, or like I need a clever caption for something. I use it as more of an inspiration rather than like copy paste. Because if you copy paste, like ChatGPT is cheesy. You can tell it sounds very like salesy, robotic. And I've noticed that like it's made significant improvements in if you ask it to like, hey, I'm a 28-year-old girl. Can you make this sound like a little bit more modern? It's like significantly improves, but I've made the mistake before where I have just like copy and pasted something, and then I try to use it either in like a script for a video or, you know, in an email, and it's not great. So
Yeah, no, I personally don't use it that often. I've used it, I agree, more for like inspiration stuff.
yeah.
I used to use it for scripts, but I haven't in probably like well over a year. I recently used it to help me think of questions for something, and like that was all. So like I don't ever use it for like, oh, write me a caption, write me a script. I don't do that anymore because those are the ones that are very obvious.
Yes. And you, like I said, like you got to take it and make it your own. The copy paste thing, it's gonna sound...
Wasn't it technically still plagiarism? Like you copy and pasting, like that's why college kids can't use it. Like thought it's still plagiarism.
But like if you're not using it for any sort of a graded assignment,
I guess.
I mean, I think a lot of people still can't tell, but I do think it's an amazing tool that can help a lot of people. So I really do. I enjoy using it. I mean, it's
but
again,
enough
it's got limitations.
Integrated into Apple, so
right. I haven't upgraded yet. I'm scared. I've not updated my phone.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I refuse because there's always bugs with these updates. I'm like, keep me on the old version.
I'm like a huge Apple fanboy, but I'm testing out the betas and everything, but I actually haven't updated recently.
I guess a lot of people aren't that impressed with it.
I mean, I wasn't, because at least when the new phones came out, the AI features weren't even shipped with the new phones because they weren't ready. Oh. So you got the phone, but like
you didn't have
all
any of the features.
Advertised features you couldn't access yet because they weren't ready.
So bizarre.
Now in like February, I think this is why I normally actually keep up with this stuff, but I haven't. I think everything is now accessible.
I think so.
Because it's been a few months, but yeah, I mean, I still have the 14 iPhone, 14 Pro.
I think I have the 15.
So maybe I'll get the 17.
I think I'm gonna. So this is such a tangent, but I think I need to upgrade to the new version because I only got the 256 gigabyte phone. Oh, such a mistake. I need the 512. I'm constantly running out of space on my phone. It's awful. Do you have 512?
Yeah, I feel like I got like the 12 before this, and ever since the 12 I've gotten 512.
I fucked up. Yeah, so I've got this like 6 months ago. I'm gonna be like, hey, time for
especially the amount of BTS I film now on my phone.
Exactly, me too.
Like I leave my phone on my phone tripod for like sometimes 30 minutes at a time, just rolling.
Yeah.
And I film it in 4K. So I'm like, it definitely takes up space. I probably have over 200 gigs of just BTS footage on my phone. Luckily, once I'm pretty good about like deleting it once I put it on my like hard drive or something, but Yeah, it definitely adds up.
At least like 3 or 4 times a week, I'm going in my phone and clearing out my photos. It's horrible. Oh, it's horrible.
My friend got the probably like a year ago. He got the 15, and he went into the store physically to get it, and he's like, "I want the 1 terabyte version," and they were like, literally, they almost tried to talk him out of it because they're like, "Dude, no one buys the 1 terabyte phone."
No way.
He's like, "Well, I'm gonna be that one guy, so go in the back and get it for me."
I'm dead. Real. So does he do like photo video stuff?
Nope, he's just a regular dude, but he like never upgrades his phone ever. So he's like, "This is gonna just future proof me for like the next 8 years or whatever."
Go big or go home. He said, "Bet." I love that. That's amazing.
I just thought it was so funny. They're like, "No one buys this. Like, you're a weirdo. Like, you shouldn't do this."
I
He's
could
like,
fill
"Nope,
up
I'm
1
doing
terabyte. I could fill up a terabyte.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that was a fun one. Yeah, overall, ChatGPT, just be careful how you use it, I think.
Yes.
That's my take.
All right, hot take number 2. Trying to generate followers or leads by trying to teach your followers how to generate followers and leads is super cringe. And they all said, like, if that makes sense. It does make sense. I know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, but I also can't say that because I'm a hypocrite because I've done that.
I don't know. I think for me, this kind of goes along the same vein of like how every creator out there has a course now or like some sort of like educational content, which go off if that's your thing, you do you. I personally will never be in the space where I never say never, but like at this point, I don't foresee myself being the person who's going to preach things and tips to other creatives. I'm more on the vein of like, I would like to educate my clients on things and teach them stuff that they might not know about videography and photography and social media. Like, it's just not my jam to do that. So I personally do agree with this one.
Wait, I want to find. I'm jumping around because there's one that talks about courses that I just want to read now flow into that.
No, that makes sense.
Because I have something to say, but I want to read this one first. So
Okay.
To go inside with this, here it is. Courses are a waste of money. Want to learn something? Ask someone in the industry or find a YouTube video. And I actually completely disagree. And like going back to, the whole creating content that's about generating followers and trying to teach, I think that type of stuff and courses are extremely valuable. However, you have it's certain ones, like
Yeah.
you can tell too, the people that make the courses that are good genuinely like and are good at teaching, and they want to teach people and they really like what they're teaching and they're clearly an expert. And then some people just do it just to do it because it's a nice passive income thing. Like everyone wants passive income, and courses are just like, it's honestly just a good business strategy. So like, I don't blame people for making courses. I would love to make a course, but I also like teaching people. But yeah, I think courses are not a waste of money. I've purchased multiple courses, and I feel like every course I've ever purchased, I've gotten my money's worth. Like I've learned a lot from every course I've purchased. You can definitely do it for free with YouTube. Like YouTube is the best free platform to learn.
Yep.
But if you find the right course, it's worth way more than the YouTube content. Because everyone on YouTube, for the most part, understands that it's a free platform. So like they will hide things. They will gatekeep things on purpose because it's free. So like they're not getting anything out of it.
There are people that don't gatekeep though, which is nice.
They're just far between, but yes.
Yeah. No, I agree and I disagree with what you said, because I personally have invested a lot of money into courses and things where I just didn't feel like it was the right fit for me. And that's partially on me. Like I probably could have done my research more and said, okay, like, is this really where I want to go? Is this the direction that I see myself going? I think you just have to really do your research, because some people are full of shit.
I think it's that, but I think it's also like you as the individual need to actually participate in the course.
Yes.
Like if you're just buying the course and you're like, if it's like some online course with videos, you watch like 2 or 3 videos and then you just call it quits, or you can never open it again.
Right.
Then you're like start complaining that you didn't get your money's worth. Obviously,
Right.
you got through like 2% of it.
Right.
If you watch every single video, do every single activity, I guarantee you will get something out of it.
Yeah.
So it's up to you as the individual to actually execute on the course. If you don't, then no, you're not going to get your money's worth.
Right. No, I do agree with that. You need to participate. And it's like anything in life. I think if you put all your effort into it, you're going to get at least something out of it. But there's so many, like on Instagram, I've almost been like suckered into a few where you see the ad and you click on it, and then you have the people in your DMs like asking you stuff, and it's just like some people are just so salesy to the point where I'm like, I just don't trust you. So I really think it comes down to just being careful and making sure you can make that financial investment so that you don't end up, regretting it. And don't get scammed. Like, really be careful, There are scams out there.
That's definitely a legit fear, I guess. But overall, I think you have to invest in yourself and you have to spend money to learn. Because, like, learning as a base should be something you do constantly. Mm-hmm. Where you learn from, that can vary. But, like, spending money on a thing to educate yourself will never hurt. Like, right. I feel like my entire few years of my career here, I've probably spent over $5,000 on courses in total. And I feel like I've gotten my money's worth.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yep. I think overall, if you can make the investment and you feel like it's a good fit for you, then I say go for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one. You're not a graphic designer or a design agency if you're just using Canva templates and pre-made logos. 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, so many people say that, and like, if you want to say that, sure, whatever. But like, well, okay, wait. I don't want to say this entirely because I have to acknowledge that things evolve and they change. So the graphic design world has evolved in the sense of it's just more accessible. And Canva is a great tool. I use it all the time.
Me too.
I don't call myself a graphic designer though.
Same.
I know people who use Canva and do call themselves graphic designers, and they can do that if they want. But I think whoever wrote this is thinking more traditionally, and my mind instantly goes traditionally as well. Like, I think if you're a graphic designer, you are proficient in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. So like all the Adobe suite things. There's probably other things that aren't Adobe that as a non-graphic designer, I just don't even know about. But if you aren't fluent in like InDesign and Illustrator, then I personally wouldn't call you a graphic designer.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Like, no notes. Exactly. I think you need to be... I also, not even just knowing like the skills of the software, like Photoshop and InDesign, I think you have to have like that brain.
Yeah, no, you have to have, there's a certain eye for it.
I do not have that brain. I'm creative in like the photo video world. I do not have any sort of graphic design skills whatsoever. Like designing a logo, forget about it. And then these, like the really good ones, can design whole entire brands.
Right.
It's so cool. I love how their minds work, and I totally understand how, from their perspective, it could be so frustrating to hear someone who exclusively uses Canva.
Oh yeah, I'm
call
sure
themselves a graphic
the traditional
designer.
graphic designers hate Canva.
Yeah.
Because,
but I do use it, like, and it's because I'm not a graphic designer.
Exactly.
That's why I use it.
Right.
That's my take.
And like, I remember taking graphic design courses in like high school. And so I was learning, granted this was in like the 2010s. So like
different technology, maybe.
Not Canva. I was using a paper book on how to step-by-step use InDesign. Like book probably like 2 inches thick, flipping the pages to be like words on the paper saying, now drag this, press this button with like little pictures.
Oh my God.
So like I was learning true graphic design. And it was fun. I was decent at it for like a high school class, but like I'm not a graphic designer. I feel like I can't just create something out of nothing, but I have like a vision of what I would want. I just don't know how to create it. So I would love to like work with graphic designers because I've worked with some in the past that I can more or less portray my vision onto them. And I feel like I have that type of brain or eye to be like, I know what I want, but I don't know how to make it in real life here.
Yes. And I think that's what sets the real ones apart from maybe the fake ones, is that they can take an idea or a thought and turn it into something, a whole brand, not just a logo, you know? Yeah, I like this one a lot. That was a good one.
All right, so moving on. Short form content is getting old. There's a time and a place for social media, but I'm trying to spend more time on long lasting video content like brand videos and testimonials, etc.
This was my take.
Oh, was it?
We just talked about this. We did a whole episode, but
I mean, I don't even really know. Like, I feel like it's just like whatever you want to be creating content in, you focus on.
Yeah.
I don't think short form's going anywhere personally.
No.
Like, it's like
it's here to stay, unfortunately.
It's not going anywhere anytime soon, at least. So yeah, as a creator, it gets old. Mm-hmm. But if you're a creator that maybe specializes in social media, then do that.
Right. And it's a good time to be that, I'll tell you, because
if you're willing to do that, good for you.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not.
Yep. I mean, and like I said, there's a time and a place. I know social media is not going anywhere. I participate in social media myself. I know it's important. But there are other things out there that I think get lost because of the virality and, you know, needing to be posting once a day, twice a day, like all this stuff that you hear. And I just think the other more important stuff can get lost. So
I don't know if I would use the phrase like get lost, just because the way I think about it is like and I don't want to like define these as like big and small brands. That's just kind of how my brain first goes, my thought goes to. Like the bigger brands that would want the brand videos as the priority, they know that. And like they know they need it, and they've known that forever, for years, whatever. So like I don't think to the people that it really matters to, I don't think it's getting lost. For like the smaller brands that would they benefit from a brand video? Yes, but is it on their mind first? No. Like to those types of people, then yeah, I would say maybe it gets lost.
Yeah.
Because the smaller ones are putting more focus on the social media, whereas like they could benefit from the brand video, they just don't realize how much they would benefit from it. But yeah, like the bigger ones who like the brand video is what we want, they've known that for years. I don't think it's lost on them. Like they know exactly what they need.
Yeah. And I think with a lot of the smaller businesses too, their focus goes on the social media aspect because they can do that themselves sometimes. Like I see so many smaller like restaurants or cafes or ice cream shops creating their own content and like going with the trends, and they do like blow up for them sometimes. And so I feel like maybe people find it more digestible and think like, oh, maybe we could go viral from this. Like, because I see so many small businesses on TikTok doing these kinds of videos, and they make them in-house. And maybe it's also a number of like, or a matter of what they can afford, because I do think that social media content is much more affordable than the bigger types of videos that we're talking about. So
Sure.
Yeah. Time and a place.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I next?
Yes.
All right. Corporate videos don't have to be boring, and more people need to spice it up.
Yeah,
I think so.
I feel like that's a pretty
so.
safe statement to say. Like traditionally, yeah, they're pretty boring.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with them being
With like
boring.
a traditional one.
Like there's nothing wrong with your traditional corporate brand video. They work.
Yes.
If you want it to maybe, I think it just depends on the branding and like what company you're working with. If it's a super serious brand and like they have a brand image that they're like a reputation they need to uphold, then they might be asking for a very traditional, safe, quote unquote, boring video because that's just who they are.
Yep.
But if it's maybe a more fun type of brand and they're like open to more creative stuff, then yeah, I think you definitely should make it like spice it up a little bit.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think there are some, and especially maybe if a business is just starting out, like I just filmed a brand video for a new PT facility, and they literally just built their brick and mortar. So I did go the more traditional route because they haven't necessarily established themselves as a brand yet in that area. So I think it's more important at that point to get their information out there, let people know what they do, show people what they do, rather than trying to come up with some like crazy idea that's not gonna align down the road. So sometimes the safe option, I think in that case, is better. But I definitely love like thinking outside of the box for something like this if you're able to go with that option.
I think even for the more traditional videos, you can still spice it up with your like just being creative with the camera. I feel like every corporate video I've ever done myself or been a part of, I wouldn't ever call them boring. Like even though they might have been for a more serious brand, I don't think the final product was boring because we could add our little spice of flavor with our creative like frames, our shot selection, like using macro lenses for like cool little conveyor belt manufacturing line stuff. I always related to like the show How It's Made. I was like, look at some How It's Made type shots and like they look really cool.
Yeah.
Or like if it's a big warehouse, we sometimes fly a drone inside and like through the warehouse. Like it's still portraying it in a nice professional way, but it's a unique shot that is a little creative like flair to the video.
Yeah.
So I think you can still make it fun and add a little creativity to those more traditional videos. Just use some cool shots here and there.
For sure. Totally agree. Did I check that one off? Okay.
Okay, I feel like you should read the next one.
I guess I should. Do not pay money for Wedding Pro. I got 0 clients from it, and it was around $3,500 gross.
Do you want to explain what happened like 30 minutes ago?
This is my take. Yeah. So basically, a year ago, pretty much exactly. And if you don't know what Wedding Pro is, it's the knot and the wedding wire combined. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they're under one umbrella now. I feel like a little bad
because I was the one who like talked you into doing this in the first place.
And listen, there's many factors that play a role. So Wedding Pro is wedding wire and the knot, like 2 very popular sites where you as a vendor can, host a page, but also where a lot of like couples get their vendors. It's where couples
find vendors. Yeah. It's like an easy way for them to find vendors.
Yeah. So, you have the option as a vendor to like pay for a package. They have several tiers and you can like, get boosted or be like on the main pages or
top
something.
Page, like top of the page, or if you don't pay a ton, you might get lost in the back pages, but yeah. So
I signed up for a 1-year contract. I think it was like something like $3,500, which is a little bit higher than the cost of one of my lowest wedding package. So I was like, all I really need to do is get 1 or 2 clients and it'll like pay for itself, which I thought was like totally doable. I thought I was at least going to get 1 or 2. I got 0 the whole year. And the long story short of it was I've had, several meetings and calls with the staff at Wedding Pro being like, am I doing something wrong here? Like I felt as though I was getting fake leads because I would get messages from people and they wouldn't have an email address or a phone number associated with their account. So like when I got a message from a client, I would not only respond in the Wedding Pro, back, whatever the hell, like that in that website, I would also like shoot them an email and say, hey, like I got your message on Wedding Pro, would love to schedule a call with you. Like I had a whole setup for it and I would respond really quickly. And I was changing up my storefront. They call your like host site a storefront. Switch up the photos, switch up the videos. I got reviews. And every time I had a call with someone on the Wedding Pro team, I think I probably spoke to 3 people over the course of the last year, all different people. They all suggested different things. And then I got to the last person and I was like, I've done all these things. Like, what can I do? And they were like, it looks great. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that was like a couple months ago. And I told them, I was like, listen, if I don't get any clients from this, I'm not going to renew for another year. And lo and behold, I didn't get any clients from Wedding Pro. Ended up like a lot of people will ghost you. Again, I really do think some of them are fake leads. But I personally think that like while the $3,500-ish that I paid wasn't the top package you could pay for, I feel like that's a lot of fucking money to pay for a service and not get any return on investment, especially since I went through the effort of contacting their team several times to make sure that I was doing everything right. Because I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. But for them to come back and tell me, like, no, you're just keep doing what you're doing. Like, it'll happen. They gave me like last month, they gave me like a free boost because I wasn't getting anything from it. And they were like, listen, we're sorry that you're unhappy. We're going to give you like a free boost. They gave me like a sticker or something on my storefront that was supposed to get like more views or whatever. And I got nothing. So I personally feel like it's not worth it.
It sounds like this whole platform is like a scam. I promise you it was a legit thing, but just like
not to me.
After hearing that, it sounds like such a scam.
Not worth it.
So after 1 full year, you got nothing.
Nothing. Not one client. And I got, a steady, I wouldn't say steady. It would like kind of be like a roller coaster of like some people would reach out and then it would go radio silent. But overall, like just super disappointed with that. I mean, I think it's a complete crock of shit. And I have heard a lot of other vendors talk about it and say the same thing. Like they've talked about it on the vendor table. I talked to one of my photographer friends and he had a similar experience. So I would just be careful if I were you. I know you've had success. You have a different story, but like for me, it's a no.
I mean, yeah, I'll briefly explain my thoughts. I do think, yes, it isn't worth it to some. I apologize.
It's not your fault. I gave it a shot and I did my best and like it didn't work out for me. I know it works out for other people, but I just wanted to share my story and say that because I had that experience and I know I'm not the only one. So.
For sure. The only reason I actually started it was because a wedding videographer that I look up to and respect, they told me I should because they're in like the 10K plus wedding video range. So I'm like, okay, these people are some of the best videographers in the region. Yeah. If they believe in this, then I should give it a try. So after that, I did. And it was a slow start for sure. I think we put in more money than you did. I don't know exactly how much, probably 7-ish thousand.
It's a lot of fucking
which is a
money.
Lot. But I think we did it for 2 years actually. It's been and we had the same mentality. Like, okay, if we paid X amount, we only need like 1 or 2 weddings booked to break even or make profit. So like, yeah, we had the same thought. Shouldn't be hard to get 1 or 2. And I think year 1 we did just that. I think we booked 2. So like we technically made a profit. And it was like just enough that we were like, okay, let's do it again. Why not? We didn't lose money, so sure. So now we are still doing it, and it's gotten us a handful of leads. I feel like Sam would actually be better to talk to you about this than me because he runs it.
Okay.
Now I don't. But from what I understand, is we get a lot of, I don't want to call them fake leads, but as far as I know, the couples on like the other end, the non-vendor side of the platform, have the option to just kind of like auto select like a phrase or something to send out to people.
They do.
So when they're just price shopping, they just have to quickly hit like this, and then just like auto sends this one little message to all these people they're just quickly inquiring about.
Yes.
So we definitely get a lot of those, like for sure. We get a lot of basic questions, like inquiries, but then we'll hit them back, nothing.
Yep.
The thing I'll say, which to somewhat play devil's advocate here, as a platform, their like Wedding Pro is selling you leads, not necessarily conversions.
Right.
So like you got leads. So
But not a lot.
Technically, they did what they said they were going to do. It's just a matter of like the quality of the leads was clearly questionable.
Yes.
And the ability to convert is definitely partially on them, I would say. But I mean, I would say partially on you, but then you did everything that you could to make the adjustments.
Right.
So I feel like you did what you could.
Yeah. And I would have to check how many leads I got. For a year, I think it was like a joke of a number.
Like, did you hit like double digits at least?
Yeah, I hit
I was
double
gonna say
digits.
if it was like 5, then
Yeah,
clearly
no.
that's not worth it.
But like, it's just, I don't know. I just think the whole thing is real sketchy. And if I did everything that they were telling me to do, I think I would have gotten at least one person. Like I respond really quickly. I also have my starting package price on my storefront so that people can see that. And if they're not in my price range, they don't even bother reaching out to me, I'm sure. Which I think, like, I personally believe, maybe this is a hot take, but like, I think that you should have at least like a starting price on your website or on your storefront for people to look at so that they can, like, it personally turns me off when I can't find pricing on something on a website. Like, just give me a ballpark, give me a starting price. Because, I mean, you don't want to say the exact. I've made that mistake before. Saying the exact price, like, pigeonholes you into this one price for this thing. And, you know, someone can point at that and say, that's not what was on your website, you know? But I think, you know, having at least a starting price gives people an idea of, like, what they can expect.
Yeah, I would say for starting price stuff, I think it depends on what industry you're talking. Like for weddings specifically that we're talking here, I agree. You should probably, just because with weddings versus commercial stuff, with weddings, your client is like your average Joe. It's just some random people. So like they're not used to having to do any sort of like pricing negotiations or like stuff like that because they don't do this. So for an average Joe just to see like, okay, they're starting at this, it's just way simpler. So it just makes sense. Like make it easy on them. Just put your starting price like we do.
Yep. Yeah.
But for my commercial stuff, I don't advertise the starting price.
Yeah, because it could be all sorts of different things. No, I totally get it. Yeah. So, but you know, for me, Wedding Pro, not for me.
And there are other ways to advertise for weddings. So if that doesn't work, do something else.
I hired a human being who is very talented and capable. He's a previous guest on this podcast, Dylan. Shout out to Dylan. He's helping me run some wedding ads, and I'm like really hoping that will get me some leads. I've actually gotten a lot of leads the last like month and a half or so. A lot of them through my website, which is good to know, and like a lot of referrals. So I don't know, maybe just a couple more years of building a solid base of clients and, you know, people who I vibe with, and that will refer me to other people. And then, paired with the ads, I think I'll be in good shape.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Wedding Pro sucks.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on before I get pissed.
Okay. Actually, staying in the wedding realm here. Second shooters at weddings are a luxury, but not necessary. You can make a beautiful wedding video as a solo shooter.
Completely agree. I completely agree.
I kind of agree. I'm going to say they're not necessary. I agree with that statement. But I think it just depends on who you are as a person. Like, I'm sure there are clearly a lot of individuals who can make amazing wedding films by themselves. I think this is the statement that I would say is you could make a better one if you had two people.
If you have two people of the same caliber or similar caliber.
Well, that's just on you for
talent.
hiring a shitty second shooter then.
I understand. Yeah, no, I get that. I think as a solo, I primarily shoot weddings by myself.
Right. And I never shoot weddings by myself.
So like two different worlds kind of clashing here, but I definitely agree. And what made me like understand this is that like my favorite wedding videos that I shot last year, a lot of them were ones that I did on my own. And I was like, I guess it was more of realizing that I was capable of doing that. Obviously, it's so helpful to have a second shooter in more ways than one. Someone to help you carry things, set up tripods, just be in two places. You know, you can't be in two places at once as one person. So, you know, when I approach couples, I say, you know, I'm very clear. Like, I can shoot the wedding by myself if this is your budget, but there are limitations. So you're totally right in that there are limitations if you're shooting as one person. You can set up a camera on a tripod, but the tripod's not going to walk around and get the other things that you're missing. It's going to stay in one's place. So it's so helpful to have a second shooter. I love having a second shooter. I'm really excited because you're doing one with me this year, and like, you're so talented. So like, I'm stoked for that. But like,
thank you.
I enjoyed the ones that I did solo last year, and they came out great.
I think it also depends on the style of wedding film that you produce, because there's so many different types of wedding films.
Very true.
And some are easier to do by yourself versus others. And I think just the type of film that I produce, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have a second person.
That's a great point.
Just because of how we shoot, how we go about our day. Like, from the get-go, it's always planned for two human beings.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I would describe my style as like lighthearted and candid. I'm not super... I've done documentary weddings. I've done luxury weddings, but I would say I'm definitely more of the realm of like fly on the wall, capturing the day as it unfolds. So that I think that's why I can kind of shoot them solo and they come out the way that they do. Yeah.
I don't even I feel like I should know this, but I don't even know how I would describe how I
mean, you've been on
a shoot with us. You know how like you've seen us clearly separate and like both of us getting valuable stuff at the same time.
Yes. Especially like if it's a bigger wedding party, if you're getting ready in two locations, like you kind of need
getting ready
a
is
second
huge.
person.
Like,
yeah, I think like for me personally, I think the biggest reason to have a second shooter is if that getting ready portion of a day is important to you, you got to have a second shooter.
Which I will say, some people don't care about the getting ready.
Some people don't.
Which I don't like, because it's actually my favorite part of the day.
Really?
But a lot of people, like couples, sometimes just be like, we don't care.
Yeah.
I think getting ready and the ceremony are the two times you need a second.
Agreed.
If you were to have one, you need them at that point.
For sure. Those are definitely the two biggest points. But then other than that, I think it's easy to shoot by yourself. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a big topic, is like having a second shooter at your wedding.
Selfishly, I actually love it when I get to work with a photographer who's alone, because
it's only
I
3
know
bodies.
they're limited. So wherever they go, the action is.
Yes. Yep. And it's only 3, one person to work around instead of 2, which can be tough.
And actually, like, Sam and I benefit from that in other ways, just because we don't have to split up ever, because with one person, they can't split up.
Yes.
So when Sam and I are both shooting at the same time, we're better than if it was just one of us. So then we can both like coordinate and get 2 angles of what we otherwise would only be getting 1 angle of.
Yeah. I feel like it's rare to see only one photographer. I feel like most people usually hire 2.
I saw a handful last year.
I did
and I
too.
was like, oh, yes, you're alone.
Yes.
Thank God.
No, I do too. I feel like it's more common, I should say, to see a solo videographer or content creator than a solo photographer.
I would say
Typically?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Solo content creator for sure. I don't think there's a need for 2 content
teams?
creators.
We'll see. I'm sure. Give it a few years. We'll see content creator teams, guaranteed.
I want to work with more content creators. Like,
I
they were
didn't work
fun.
with any last year. I want to see one in action. I follow a bunch on Instagram because I'm like so fascinated by it.
Sam and I are trying to get them on our podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So we're hoping to build more relationship with them.
Yeah, that would be cool because I really am so interested. I honestly would like love that for my wedding one day.
I would low-key like to
love
try
how they
it.
just
I would want to just do it for a
Yeah.
day. Like, to be like, all right, and with my phone just running around.
Homegirl's gonna have to upgrade her
it would
phone
be
if she does that.
different, but I feel like it'd be fun. Just run around with your phone.
Agreed. I think so too. It's so interesting that's where we're at in in this kind of space, but I'm here for it. Okay.
Next.
Is this me? I keep forgetting.
This one's you now. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, we got an F-bomb in this one.
I do. Oh, I see.
More people need to learn how to use their fucking gear. Don't buy something because you think it'll make you better. Learn how to use it properly so it will actually make you better. Yeah. You can have the fanciest stuff out there and drop a shit ton of money, but if you don't know how to use it, it's going to look like Joe Schmo picked up an iPhone, and like it could truly just not translate.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The more I read some of these, I'm like, these are actually like, I would call them like cold takes. Like they're pretty obvious.
No, because I think some people.
I mean, no, I agree. Some people do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, look, just get the biggest, flashiest
newest
thing.
Yeah. Some people I know always have to have.
Don't
like,
get me wrong.
newest
I'm a
stuff.
sucker for new stuff.
Me too.
Like new technology, love it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've gotten actually worse about it as I've evolved in this. I feel like at the very beginning, I would watch like every tutorial before I even thought about buying it. And then day of purchasing it, I would not actually, but essentially like lock myself in a room, figure out how to use it, and like not come out until I know how to use it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'll pretty much just watch some tutorials, buy it, and just hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
But
Purchase and pray, yeah.
I feel like I know how everything I have. I feel like I know how to use. Mm-hmm. I will be the first to admit that, like, the camera settings, I'm decent at them, and I know how to navigate it fairly quickly. But everyone says this: don't get a new camera until you like know every single setting of your current camera. There are definitely some things I don't know how to use on this current camera, but I just don't use them enough to care.
The menu is so complicated on Sony. It's
because like
crazy.
sometimes I'll have to grab my other second shooter's camera real quick just to adjust their settings quickly because they can't do it fast enough, and I'm like, just give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to do the menu to what I need.
Yes,
and I feel like that matters more.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah, like when I was a Canon shooter back in the day, it took me 6 months probably to even go from, because like it was a thought in my brain, and then it took me 6 months for that thought in my brain to become a reality of like, okay, let's do some research. And I would say it took me like another 6 months at that point to like dig into what Sony is and like how it works as a brand and the cameras. I asked you a whole bunch of questions. I asked Aiden a whole bunch of questions. Like it took me a year to make that decision, which I think is valid if you're switching from one brand to the other. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, I actually totally forgot because I feel like now you just have Sony. But like when we started this podcast, we would use your Canon camera.
I know. It's literally switching from Canon to Sony was the best decision I've made recently. Like I'm so happy I did it. Like I'm super happy with the results. So
Sony is superior.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Wait, what was the phrase Aiden said? I thought it was so funny. He's like, welcome to like the path of righteousness.
Yes,
I thought that was so funny.
Oh my God. Yep. I'm here and it feels great. Okay, your turn.
All right. This is
a part two
of that.
Probably,
I guess.
yeah.
Also, people need to take their time to learn proper lighting and exposure. Yeah. This is actually, I feel like, more of an issue because I feel like you can get away with you could get away with auto settings on your camera if you really didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. But if the lighting is messed up, you can't really fix that.
Yeah.
And I also hate saying this because it's so cliche and everyone says it. All these like YouTube people say it, but it's a true statement. That's why they say it. It is the most important thing, lighting, and it is very easy to mess up.
Yes.
I'll be the first one to admit I've messed up lighting so many times.
It's hard.
Can't even count. I mess it up all the time.
It's really hard.
I'm not even perfect at it now. I never will be, but I feel like I know how to make adjustments now. Prior, I'd be like, okay, I fucked this up, but I don't know how to fix it. Like, where do I move it to get the look I want? I don't know. Now, I can at least know what to do. It's like, okay, I'm going for a certain look. I know where the lights need to be, and I know where to move them. So I can make the micro adjustments where I previously didn't know how to.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think, I would say it's one of the hardest things to learn. I don't know if it's a hot take, but
No, I agree.
I
agree
really
with that.
feel like it's hard because there are so many, there's different kinds of lights. There's different soft boxes.
I say
There's
that now
different
also with our current
diffusions.
lighting is like the laziest lighting ever.
It is lazy, but it
But
works.
It works.
It looks great. You got me on the lantern game. I love that thing. We're using a lantern.
A lantern softbox is perfect for this current
Yes.
scenario.
Yeah, but it's so complicated. Like you said, there's, the way that you position the lights, and there's just so much to it.
Yeah.
The different temperatures, and God, it's so complicated, but it does make a difference. And you can really change the entire vibe of a video or a photo just based on the lighting. The example I think of is when you helped me with that Dress for Success shoot, and it was obviously like a more serious tone, so we had a little bit moodier lighting. Like,
I love moody lighting.
me too.
It's way more fun.
Yeah, and like it was perfect for, I think, the story that the project told. If we had like been in a brightly lit studio or like natural lighting, I'm not sure it would have like hit the same. So it definitely makes a difference if you learn proper lighting and exposure.
Yeah, no, I think
That's a good
the
one.
biggest lighting thing I've learned was obviously, the placements and stuff, but also the soft boxes, like the types of diffusion. So like, yes, the lanterns, your basic circular softbox, but then for my canned beverages, I've switched to rectangle softboxes, double diffusion, like so many different variations. And then when it comes to exposure, whoever's saying this, I first think of like exposing log footage.
Ugh,
That is
it's a bitch.
a huge mistake that people make.
Yeah.
Because like, this is the statement that I'll say. If you don't know how to color grade and expose log footage, you're better off just shooting in standard. Because it's worse to shoot in log and not know what you're doing than to shoot in standard and just deal with the burned in color.
Yeah. You're speaking to me circa 12 months ago. Like and this is when I had
Granted,
my
you
Canon
were just starting
still.
how to you never shot log before.
I had never shot log before, and I was like, send it, do it. And I didn't like take the proper time to, I watched a bunch of videos and I thought that I had a good idea, but then I would go
It
to
took me a
color grade it and I
long
was like,
time.
what the fuck? It looks like dog shit.
There are so many of my old YouTube videos that are so horrendously colored. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is awful.
But that's the time to really learn and mess it up. It's not with like client work like I did. Like some of the stuff that I filmed was just, and it just doesn't look right. Maybe to the untrained eye, you can't tell, but to me, I was like, damn girl. But I do find that I really like shooting log with Sony a lot more than Canon. I like the way it colors a lot better.
I do think I'm biased, but I have worked with C-Log footage, and I do think S-Log is easier to grade.
Way
for
easier.
me personally. Maybe
And
it's
it
a
looks so much
generic
better.
thing also, but I can grade S-Log way easier than Canon's
Yes.
C-Log.
100%. I agree. That's my excuse for why my C-Log footage looked like shit. We'll chalk it up to that.
All right, we got one more here.
One more. Okay. Ugh, this is a good one to end with. We have so many more. We're gonna do a part
Do
two.
part two. Yeah.
There's a lot more. But we'll end this with this one. I'm tired of clients expecting the world for $100. The industry needs to set better expectations for themselves so that folks will stop walking all over us.
Wait, did you write
I
this?
feel for you. No, this
Okay,
one was
good.
a
Because I was
submission.
about to go off and just shit on this person.
Why?
I didn't want to say it
What?
to you. Okay, look. What they're saying, could be seen as an accurate statement, sure. But I think it's more of a you issue, whoever's saying this, than an industry-wide issue. Like, if you want to get paid more than $100, say no. It's as simple as that.
I know. It is on you.
Say no to those smaller paying things. Transition your branding, your marketing to the higher paying things, and just start saying no. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you have to do.
There are higher paying clients out there. I do feel like there's certain areas are more adaptive than others in terms of that. Certain clients are more adaptive, like, but you're right. It's, you know, when I was starting out, I was advertising to, you know, small businesses and all that when I was just getting started. And I still make the mistake of undercharging, and you're always kicking yourself for it. But in the end, it is up to you to kind of set boundaries with people. I think the hardest situation with this is if it's a client that you regularly work with, you started them out low, and now trying to raise them up. It's like, well, fuck, I can't just exponentially increase my pricing. So what do I do in that scenario? I think that's the toughest situation, which I've been in several times.
That's probably what they're saying when they say so that folks will stop walking all over us.
Yeah.
To that, I would say, you know, attempt to raise, explain to them, you know, like, it's a new year, we're raising our prices to this. And if they have pushback, you need to stand your ground.
Right.
And you need to stick to your pricing. Otherwise, you will get walked all over.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you to show the confidence to hold your ground, not get walked all over, and if need be willing to walk away.
Agreed. Yeah. And I also think that, I was just going to say something and I forgot.
Whoever wrote this, I'm sorry, but like, I completely disagree with what you're saying.
I do feel like, you know, setting the boundaries is important, and just being honest with people. Like, it sucks, but you just got to be honest.
No, yeah. Being transparent is huge.
You just have to you know, be brave and like say what you feel. And especially like if your quality is really, really good and you're not at the price that you feel like you're valued, you got to increase that price or you're not going to grow. So if you feel like your quality is at top tier level and you're producing amazing work,
then charge that amount.
Charge what you're worth.
It's very simple.
There are people out there who will pay it.
And everyone's just afraid of losing all your clients because you have to walk away.
Right.
But that's the potential sacrifice and risk that you have to take.
Mm-hmm. To find the right clients.
Yeah. And like, I was just talking to someone the other day and they explained to me this way. They were like, doing that and, you know, being transparent, telling them what's going on, why you're doing this, explaining it. And then if you have to walk away, walking away, it's a power move, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good thing for you. It's not a bad thing.
Right. And maybe like I'm sure there's some photographers and videographers out there who will just probably are happy staying at that level of, you know, maybe like just need a high volume of low paying clients. Sure, if that's your lane, stick to it. Yeah,
that's a formula. If you want to do that, that works.
Yep. But if it's not your vibe and you're sick of it, like you've got the power to change it. And we believe in you. We do.
Yep.
All right. Let's wrap this up. We're gonna do a part 2 because we have a lot more. We got a ton of
I have no idea how long
submissions.
that was, but I feel like it was actually longer than I thought it was
Me
gonna
too.
be. So we'll end this here.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, stick around for part 2 of Hot Takes. Thank you to everyone who submitted.
Sorry for whoever wrote that last one, but hopefully the next ones will be better.
Well, hopefully it inspires.
Yeah,
Hopefully it inspires.
say no.
Yes.
Hopefully you don't say yes to another $100 gig.
Right. Yep. Give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. Subscribe, 5 stars, all the good stuff, and we'll see you soon.
See you in the next one.